Sam Laporta seems not to have received the memo, gentlemen.
That's a tight end. That's a tight end right there for you. Yeah, just ready to work.
Look, Laporta, you better play some football.
He's
He's going to
ready
look
to
good
go.
in the end zone, I can assure you. Watch out.
Joe Flacco arriving to take on a team he, of course, led to the Super Bowl once upon a time. Browns and Ravens today. A lot of ill feelings between these teams.
Jerry, Baltimore secondary, a lot of notable names back there. Just what are the challenges that group presents to you guys as a receiver?
No challenges.
How hard is he to bring down?
Not hard.
Derek, you get a chance to see Grant Delpit said that you're not hard to tackle on. Do you have a reaction to that?
I mean, I saw that. I saw his coach had a tweet, a quote, and, he had a quote. We'll see on Sunday.
Okay, so the stage is set. Adam Schefter, a lot of noise between these teams, and you've uncovered some fascinating news about another way these teams are connected as of this spring.
Our good news was all set. A consensus had been reached. The Baltimore Ravens, were planning to select Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round with the 141st overall selection. But when he found out, he got word back to the Ravens that he preferred not to go to a place where he would be competing and backing up Lamar Jackson. He wanted to be in a place that he could play. And so when the Ravens got that message, they pivoted, went a different direction with the 141st overall selection. And 3 picks later, the Cleveland Browns selected Shedeur Sanders, who will be in Baltimore today, where he could have been spending his NFL career if he were willing to back up Lamar Jackson. Preferred not to do that. And so Shedeur Sanders will make that trip to Baltimore today. Could have been a Raven, but he's a Brown, 3rd string on the depth chart, Randy.
Schefter, the intrigue of Shedeur Sanders and the story of that weekend at the draft just sort of never ends. And so here we hear this, that he chose not to go to Baltimore. Teddy, reaction?
Yeah, you want to go somewhere where you compete to be a starter. That's me. I don't play quarterback, but I hear that. Listen, I just want to go to any team where I can compete being behind Lamar Jackson, or I just want to be a starter. Where can I compete to be a starter? I think that's what Shedeur was thinking there.
Does it make sense to you, Randy, for him to say, Lamar's there, he's going to be there for a decade, it's never a place I'm going to get a chance to play? Do you think it's a sensible choice?
Let me piggyback off of Teddy. You talk about Lamar Jackson's going to be probably retired with this organization. So if the backup does get in, he's in for garbage time. So I can see why Shedeur Sanders made that decision. I want to go compete for a job and get out there and play as a rookie.
Yeah. I think this is insane, right? Like, if this is true, I think this is crazy, right? At this point, you're in the 5th round. I understand you had higher hopes, but you've dropped to the 5th round, and you're thinking about being a starting quarterback the next year. I think this is incredibly short-sighted. Like, if you're in this situation, you want to go to an organization that is going to develop you, right? Here you have the Baltimore Ravens, the model of stability in the NFL. This regime's been together for how many decades now? And actually has a track record to develop quarterbacks. Joe Flacco, Lamar, right? Instead, you choose the Cleveland Browns because you think you have a chance to start the next year. And mind you, the Cleveland Browns, who are on the opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to stability, right? This is the same organization that walked away from Baker Mayfield as the #1 pick in the draft. What's he gone on to do? Oh, he's only led the NFL in touchdown passes since joining the Bucs, right? How many starting quarterbacks? There's been 700 starting quarterbacks in the last 20 years for the Cleveland Browns. Like, this makes zero sense. You want to go to a good organization where you can develop and reach your potential.
But Alex, you said a key thing there about they develop quarterbacks. But if you think you don't need to develop, now you're looking for a responsibility. He certainly doesn't think he needs developing. He thought he was going to be the 1st overall pick. So for him, Cleveland made more sense. And guess what? I wouldn't be surprised by the end of the year if he doesn't start for the Cleveland Browns. Anybody?
It does no good to
develop
go play
on the field, right?
Not in a bad situation. No, you go put bad film out there, see how that does for your career. It'll be a quick ticket out of it.
It's an interesting juxtaposition between that position and all the others, right? At any other position, you just want a chance, is what you're saying, Teddy. But quarterback is sort of a unique set of circumstances.
You're not going to see the field in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Ever.
Why is that a bad thing for a couple years?
Because you can't play.
No, get out
They're
of
not
here.
going to get on
Lamar
the field.
Jackson is not a couple of years. I'm talking about maybe 8
Not
to
even
10
2,
plus.
yeah.
As a fifth-round pick, he's only signing a 3-year contract, right? You go learn for a few years, you get better at your game. The wake-up call of, hey, I am a fifth-round pick. I'm not a finished product.
So lastly,
I need to get better.
So lastly with this, if he signed a 3-year deal with the Cleveland Browns, do you expect to see him on the field within those 3 years?
Oh, he probably will.
Okay.
That's direction
I
point. He
promise
might.
you.
Okay,
will.
And
so, but if he would have signed a 3-year deal with the Baltimore Ravens, would you expect to see him on the field within 3 years?
I mean, hopefully not. Hopefully Lamar's playing. He plays in the preseason. He gets better every year, and then he goes out and proves himself later when he's more prepared to have success.
And maybe tries to become the next Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield or someone who
Countless
finds
guys that
success
have
in
gone.
their next stop. It's an interesting decision. Again, endlessly interesting
why I don't
what
play
happened with
quarterback.
Shedeur that weekend.
I don't play
Meanwhile,
quarterback.
Jets and Bills in the early window today. Garrett Wilson, what does he have in store for us, Randy? Garrett can have a big day today.
Man, it's the Battle of New York. Garrett Wilson, man, just throw it up for him. He gonna come down with it. Come on.
After Aaron Rodgers at 41 threw the most touchdowns in the league week 1, the only quarterback with 4 touchdowns, doing it against one of his former teams in the Jets. Good mobility, 3 of those touchdowns outside the pocket. He enters today 1 away from tying Brett Favre for the 4th most touchdown passes in NFL history. Rodgers, Favre, obviously all the history there. Sal Palantonio there to watch it in Pittsburgh with the Steelers. Sal, you were there for Rodgers' debut last week. What should we expect from him today against Seattle?
Yes, and we're in Pittsburgh this morning, Michael, and sometimes a headline just does it for you. It tells you the whole story. This is a quote right here from Aaron Rodgers about DK Metcalf. He's all about the right stuff. And when you look at what happened last week, DK Metcalf had 7 targets, most on the team, and he had 4 catches. All of them went for first downs. But you dig a little deeper into what the Steelers did on offense, and you see that Aaron Rodgers was so good on play action. 9 of 11 on play action for 102 yards. 3 of his touchdown passes came on play action. As we know, it's been the hallmark of his career. 136 touchdown passes out of play action, most of any quarterback since Aaron Rodgers became a starter in 2008. And the screen game last week, 9% of their offense called by Arthur Smith was in the screen game, most in the league in week 1. So it's kind of remarkable. I've been covering the league for 32 years, and I've never seen anything like this, where you have a quarterback from the East Coast. Aaron Rodgers comes from the Jets. DK Metcalf comes from Seattle, all the way from the West Coast. You put them in a new offense, and they coordinate so quickly. The chemistry, the coordination, the communication has been really terrific in just a short order that they could get this together. Today, however, against Seattle, much different defense with Mike Macdonald than Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn, uber aggressive. Mike Macdonald will sit back in that 2-deep cover shell and make you earn every yard. So the Steelers know, 1, they got to protect Aaron Rodgers better than they did last week, and they've got to run the football better. Only 2.7 yards per carry last week against the Jets. But amazing what they've done in such a short period of time here in Pittsburgh on offense, Michael.
All right, Sal, you'll have an interview with DK Metcalf as he gets set for this matchup against his former team coming up. But Alex, as we looked at many different ways at what Aaron did last week against the Jets, one of the things you said was he looks like he's buying in. What does that mean?
Yeah, exactly, Greeny. Listen, there's this narrative about Aaron that that he has to have it his way, right? That he's entitled, he's stuck in his old ways. Rex, you love to grill him on this, and I just think it couldn't be further from the truth. He has really bought into this Arthur Smith offense, and it's paid dividends, especially week 1. Let me show you what I'm talking about.
Oh, show
Going
us
up to the
something,
screen
man.
here. Going up to the screen here. Look out, Teddy. Here we go. Okay, this is from last week. Again, Aaron Rodgers, now he's wearing the black and gold. And where do we find him in this Arthur Smith offense? Under center, right? We haven't seen him there in a while. Hard play action fake. Look at the effect it has on these linebackers. Watch the defensive end backside. Again, here we are, tackling the running back. And look at this guy, right? In the trail position already, trying to trail his coverage. Obviously, that walks into the end zone for an easy score. Again, haven't seen this in a long time. This is later in the game. Again, hard play action pass. Look at the effect. And look at the backside corner. Getting bad eyes here into the backfield, read and run. Jump pass by the old man, 41-year-old, into the corner for another touchdown. Right, you heard Sal Powell say it. 3 of his 4 touchdowns on play action pass movements, right? We didn't see any of this from the Jets the last couple years. This guy can still do it. I just think it's a sign. Listen, this marriage with Arthur Smith, they want to run the football. They want to play action pass. This guy can still do it even though he's getting a little older.
You know, I would really want to talk about what Powell Sal talked about Aaron Rodgers and the right stuff. The right stuff meaning DK Metcalf. I remember we showed at the beginning of SportsCenter of the plays that DK Metcalf was able to make last week. And I said, one thing about DK Metcalf when he came into the National Football League, big body, big presence, so what? He can only go downfield. Well, what did you show last week? I wish they could put some highlights up from what he did last week. Being able to put the ball in this young man's hand and making him get somewhere, making the defense tackle him. Sal Powell said that Coach McDonald was going to sit back in that cover two shell, keep everything in front of you. So you know what I expect? The same stuff from last week. Put the ball in DK Metcalf's hand. If there's one particular route against cover two, Rex, it'd be a cover two, because that's what tore your defense up.
Oh, my goodness. All I know is they better play some run defense, because I think if you're going to play all that cover two, I expect Pittsburgh to run the ball. I think it's going to look a lot different this week. But I do agree with you, Alex, I haven't seen this from Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. I never expected it. I don't think anybody did, but he looked healthy. And, yeah, he's buying in, but they've got to be able to run the football. This is not the Pittsburgh Steelers of old. Look, Aaron looked like the Aaron Rodgers of old, but the Steelers themselves, what they, pride themselves on, the steel curtain, man. Look, they gave up 129 more rushing yards to the Jets than they gained during that game. Hardly steel curtain numbers. So, to me, I think they got to get back to the basics, run the football, especially against that cover two shell, Randy, and that's what I expect in this game.
Yeah, and Aaron's, you're just not going to have that type of production from your quarterback every single week.
No question.
Right.
Yep, no question.
I was like, it's not an anomaly, but it's like, whoa. I mean, where did this come from? This isn't the team I expected. I mean, I like I said last week, really high expectations for this Pittsburgh Steelers team. But if there's one unit I want to watch from week one to week two, it's the Steelers defense, because that was not what I'm used to seeing. And I know Justin Fields is a hard quarterback to game plan. He causes you a lot of problems, but this is the type of game that these Steelers rushers are made for. Get after Sam Darnold, put some pressure on the passer. Steelers defense has to come to play.
And Sam Darnold is notorious for holding the football a little longer. Watch out, man. TJ Watt could have a huge game.
To go back to this Pittsburgh offense, they got a tough test today, though. The Seahawks front is stout. They play tough. And listen, they only had 50 yards rushing last week, right? Those play-action passes working. To your point, Teddy, I don't think they can rely on 4 touchdown passes every single week out of Aaron. They do need to get better in the run game. They weren't great at it last week, but again, it's a tough test against Seattle.
2.7 a carry.
Again, it was the Rodgers revenge game last week. It was also a Justin Fields revenge game last week, and while the Jets didn't get the win, he looked terrific, and he'll go up against the Bills coming up in the early window today. A critical AFC East showdown. A lot of people around New York excited about the way Fields looked in week one. We'll see if the Jets can back it up today. So much news.